got something special. I had in one of my comments to one of my videos, somebody who follows and watches a lot of my videos said, first, and I like that. I mean, just because you're the first to comment, I always appreciate when people do that. And then he also said that it was his birthday. And I asked him would he like anything, and he told me that he wanted the specific line in the Dragon analyzed. So I thought, you know what? Let's go ahead and make this birthday situation happen. It's going to be a little late the day after, but, you know, happy birthday anyway. So let's go ahead and knock some of these lines out. We're not going to be looking at Sicilian sidelines. We're just going to go into the mainline type Dragon stuff. We have our Dragon pawn structure. And some people say the Dragon. I think that's the tail and that's the head. I don't really know, but that constellation of pawns, we'll say, is considered the Dragon pawn structure. And we've got a couple of different moves. Most of the time with the Dragon, if it's a sideline and white's not throwing the king side at you, you just need a structural orientation. So in this case, if say bishop e2, bishop g7, bishop e3, and we get our pieces on this typical type of structure. And you can ask me and I will send you the link. I will share it. I've got a Lee chess database that has a game in every variation that I'm showing. But generally this type of position is solid, straightforward. You're looking for moves like a6, b5, your rook decides on b8 or c8, and you just chill. You allow white to try to come after you with f4, f5 to try to get the e5 square to play with. Generally you get yourself a game. Another very popular line is like with bishop g5, and we'll see again knight c6 and bishop e6. So you can see the same structure overlapping, same kind of ideas. Well, coming back, what if bishop c4? Well, that's going to put a damper on us putting our bishop on e6. So instead, we put the bishop on d7. Not a very difficult memory marker. After rook c8, here's an important one. We'd love to kill this bishop. So if, say for instance, h3, I'm going to go knight a5 to go right after him. And if knight takes, bishop takes, this is a pretty typical structure where you're not so worried about the d6 pawn because you're looking to activate your pieces and get play for the weakness. No, you know, Dragon, Dragon, Dragon. So, g3. This reminded me of a game from arguably the greatest player from my home state, Stuart Rachels. He has the distinction of being the only player ever to win the U.S. championship and not be a grandmaster. So he's an international master. He tied that year with two other players, I believe. I know my co-author for my upcoming Alekhine book, Genji Hashvili, was one of them. I can't remember the other one, but see if somebody can find that. It had to be in the 80s. But I remembered seeing one of Stuart Rachel's games, and he used the idea. I may not follow the line exactly as it is in the database, but it's kind of interesting. So bishop g7, bishop g2, and as soon as white commits to bishop g2 and castling kingside, you play bishop d7 and queen c8, and this is starting our battery idea. After knight d5, grab, grab, our knight is in good position to kind of go over and attack on the king side with, say, knight g4. So bishop e3, and then after h5, you can see the idea that if I'm able to trade off the h-pawn, I'm using the open file with the rook. And I believe it was a game from the U.S. Championship that Stuart did so well in that this game popped up. But I'm not 1,000% sure. So, that's two variations, fianchetto and, say, a classical setup. What else we got here? We even hit bishop c4. So now let's get to the main lines, the actual nasty stuff, the stuff that the student asked for. So we got bishop e3, bishop g7, getting there, knight c6, and here's one of the key features. I didn't analyze this position, but say if white castles queenside, there are a number of different variations to where you need to play d5 to get counterplay right now. And like I said, there's a ton of very forcing variations, but black seems to be doing okay. So by far the most popular move is with bishop c4 here on move 9, and that completely kills the idea of us being able to play d5, so we need to find another method. So bishop d7, castles, and this is the topical position that the student asked for. Rook c8 is the old main line, and rook b8 was requested by the Boneless. I like that. Boneless wings. I do. So it's a good name. Rook b8. Now, one of the main ideas in an opposite side castling position, white wants to throw the pawns, trade off the pawn on the h-file, bring this bishop down, trade, bring the queen down, and then mate you. It's a very straightforward, like, blunt force trauma type plan. So you have got to either trade off the attackers, stop the attack, or have an attack that's so vicious on your side of the board, Dragon, for you to win before white breaks through. So in this case, rook b8, and we got a couple different lines here. Let's start with bishop b3. And the memory marker, just like we saw in the bishop c4 variation, when bishop b3 happens, I want to look at knight a5 to clip that bishop. He goes bishop h6, we grab, we go b5, and as you'll see, we're leaving that option of if and when we want to clip or go to c4. It looks like white is going to play push, take, and try to mate you. So let's get his queen out of there. So get the queen out of there. Bishop c6, and this will follow a game, but in my opinion, black has already gotten to a playable position. Only, smidge better for white. Rough equality. So that was one line with bishop b3. Let's take a look at king b1. King b1 seems pretty natural. Well, the main idea in all these variations is being able to play b5. b5 has been played before in this position, sacrificing a pawn, but white was scoring the better part of 65% in my database, so I couldn't recommend it. Black was doing much better after knight takes, and then b5 as the bishop and rook both defend the b5 push. Natural enough. Now b4, tickle tickle, takes, and after this trade down, it's pretty apparent h4, h5, g4. White's trying to attack, but after rook h8, it's another position where black was getting attacked, but if you stop the attack, you have relative equality and you can start fighting for a win. So, another good one. Now, let's go with, after rook b8, the most critical variation, h4, trying to start his attack immediately. And this game between Steiner and Peter Schreiner, I'm horrible with names. I'm sorry. I'm from Alabama. My pronunciation is going to be off. Hopefully I didn't butcher it too much. But like I said, I'll provide you the Lichess database file upon request. Just send me a message or shoot me a comment with your Lichess name, and I'll add you right to it. So after h4, knight e5. Critical. Gets the knight out of the way so we can play b5 again. Makes sense. Also, a little bit of a tickle-tickle on the bishop. Bishop runs away. b5. Now bishop h6, and normally this type of position, I would get to this type of position with black in a tournament game and then spend 30 minutes in a 60-minute game freaking out that I'm being attacked. The dragon positions personally are not for me. But after seeing this line that I'm about to show you, I'd consider it playing some blitz. Just for fun. Why not? Try it out a little bit. So a5. Black's getting his attack going. Now, here's two different ideas. Because black can stop the coming attack in both variations. In the main game, h5 was played. Like, okay, the attack's here. You don't want to do something like knight takes h5 because he's going to play g4, your knight goes away, and you're probably going to get mated on the h-file. I love this. Bishop takes, You're like, but aren't you encouraging his queen to be where it needs to be to, I don't know, win? This next one, key move, absolute memory marker in the variation. You got to remember this. G5, sacrificing a pawn because it shuts down white's rook on the H file from getting into the game. Check. Now I'm safe. And it looks like he's trying to mate me. No mates for you. I'll use the open file with my rook. So coming back, let's just say instead of H5, we get bishop takes G7. And again, it looks like he's breaking through, because if he's able to take, you take back, you're getting mated. So again, we have the exact same plan, the exact same idea, that beautiful memory marker, G5, take my pawn to shut down files so you can survive. I like when the memory marker's easy and we're getting play. Now that you've given the pawn, you know you've got to play very aggressively. Make it happen. So, coming back to A5, instant replay. H5, grab, grab. What is that memory marker? What is that important move to shut down the attack? Yes, it is G5. Shut it down all the way. Takes. He's attacking. And I'll show the rest of this example game. Clip this guy. Tickle, tickle. Give me that pawn. He's not even in the hole anymore. A3, softening up white's king side. Yeah, white got to have his fun. Now it's black's turn. F4, check yourself. Pins and stuff. Tickle, tickle again. And this didn't look like a game for white. I can tell you that much. Rook A8. Even though he's in black's face, he can't get to him. Check. And once the queen trades, black's just a knight up. Rook's going to come over and start collecting. GG. Oh. Hopefully this was instructive. I gave you a few new ideas in this interesting dragon variation. Comes highly recommended from the Boneless. Again, happy birthday, sir.